FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is 6/17/20. Hard to believe we are more than halfway through the month. No, the world has not ended yet. Yes, things are opening again. Things are getting back to some semblance of normal in some places, but not in others. But things have changed, and that's what you've got to be aware of, especially if you've got a brand, or you are a brand, or your messaging or your imaging. All these things have changed. I'd like to hear from you about challenges you're having with your brand, making it work in the new economy. So why don't you send us an email, kl@kerrylutz.com, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, you know, we're talking about branding. We're talking about things that have happened because we're working differently. You're working from home now in all likelihood, and who better to have on than the author of the brand mapping strategy? I'm talking about Tiber Leland. Karen, it's great to have you on the show. And hey, how has your work life and branding changed in the new economy?
You know, it's really funny because I think I always worked from home, except for if I was going to clients' offices. So that part was not a big transition for me. But I'll tell you what has been a big transition, and I think this is true for a lot of business people, is rethinking what are going to be sort of my new offers for the new world. And I think every business, from small to large, has to be asking themselves that question right now.
Yeah. So the way we work, all of this has changed. And you gave an example of Chuck Schumer where, you know, I'll let you give the example, but it was really interesting and a real brand damager.
Well, I was watching TV the other day, and I was watching the news, and I was on the phone with someone, and the news was in the background. And I looked up and I saw that Chuck Schumer was being interviewed. I think it was on MSNBC. And I looked back down and I was talking to this person. And then when I looked back up in the middle of his conversation, a door opens behind, because he was at home, a door opens behind him, and I'm going to assume she was his cleaning lady. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm assuming it was his cleaning lady, because she had like an apron on and a bunch of cleaning supplies in her hand. Opened the door. She came out of what was clearly the bathroom, and she was not wearing a mask. He wasn't wearing a mask. And I just started laughing, because I thought a picture is worth 1,000 words. And you know what people don't get is that today, how we use video and how our backgrounds look on video and everything about what happens on video, that really represents our brand. And I just think it's fascinating that he did not think through, I'm going to be on national television. Maybe I ought to tell the cleaning person, please stay out of the frame. And she just looked at him and looked at the frame, and he looked at her, and then she wandered off. And I just laughed so hard.
Hey, and we saw this with Vice President Biden, former Vice President Biden. He's held up in the basement of his home in Delaware. And initially his audio quality is terrible. His videos of question, you know, it's just not lit right. And you wonder, hey, if a YouTuber working from his kitchen can put out flawless video, these people have every resource available to them. How did they screw this up?
Well, and that's a really good point. And, you know, I'm surprised, because obviously I pay a lot of attention to television, and because of what I do for a living as a branding and a marketing strategist and coaching people in media training and placing clients, you know, I watch all the channels. I mean, I literally flip between MSNBC, Fox, you know, CNN. I mean, I really have to watch everything to see what's going on. And I have to say, honestly, right or left, I don't think either side is doing a particularly good job. You know, I see experts on all these channels, and I'm shocked. Like, you're an expert and your lighting's terrible. You don't know where to place the camera. What you're wearing doesn't work. How your hair is doesn't work. This is men and women too, by the way. It's not gender specific. And I think it's because people don't understand that even though we've used video forever, your your video, how you show up on video right now, whether it's on TV, whether it's on a conference call with clients, whether it's on a sales call, whether you're an executive leading something, how you show up on video is really impacting your brand these days.
Yeah, it so is. And you don't really think of it because, I'm just going to have a meeting on Zoom. And one thing I've learned how to do, Karen, over these past, I don't want to tell you how long it took me. It's so ridiculous. Is how to use green screen. Green screen. Yeah, because I just don't have like a great setup here. There's a TV behind me, and it's just not that great. So I've kind of had to master the art of green screen. So,
Which is harder than it looks, isn't it?
Yes, very. Much harder than I ever anticipated. And so I've really come a long ways with it. And, there's other things like, really, if you're using video, okay, maybe you're not into makeup, but a little bronzer, because video, I'm pretty tan. I'm in Florida, but I look pale on video. It's really weird. People ask me, "Are you okay? Yeah. You don't look healthy." Yeah. And it's like it.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I always joke with my clients, and I say whenever I have to do like record on video, and the guys will say to me, "Oh, I gotta, put on a shirt and a tie." I go, "Hey, you don't have to do your hair and makeup." I have to do my hair and makeup. Yeah. But I will say that is something, even if you're going on television, if you're a man, they'll often put a little bit of makeup on you. And this is my point. We have this whole learning curve about how to use video effectively. Leaders have to learn how to use it effectively in terms of their executive presence. Experts have to learn how to use it effectively now when they're on television. I mean, you see all these experts on right now on TV, right? Talking about everything from social justice to, health based on what's going on. And so many of them, you can tell that they really don't understand the medium. And the truth is you can be an incredibly articulate, smart, credible person, but whether we like it or not, and again, male or female, how you dress, how you look, how the lighting is done, what your background is going to impact your credibility. And it's not that people think of it on a conscious level. It happens on a subconscious level. It's what Malcolm Gladwell called in his book, Blank, thin slicing. It's like this immediate feeling people get, and they don't even know why.
And it could be very subtle, very sublime, and yet it can make all the difference. And so appearances count. And so you kind of have to orchestrate your brand. And now that you're on video, and a lot of you out there aren't even comfortable on video. I know it took me a long time till I could finally just say the hell with it. I'm just not worrying about how I look or anything else, but becoming comfortable, because it's very obvious, Karen, when you're on video and you're not comfortable, right?
It's so obvious. And, the statistics are something like 63% of people feel more uncomfortable on video than they do live face-to-face. So people actually aren't that comfortable on video and camera, and it shows. Yes,
it definitely shows. So I guess do you need a coach? Is that what you're getting at here? Or how do you learn these basics?
I'm a little biased, obviously, since I do media coaching and branding coaching and CEO branding. So I'm slightly biased. But here's what I will say. I will say that it's very, very hard to see the inside of your own eyelids. It's useful to have someone external to you who knows the subject be working with you to help you figure this out, for sure.
Yeah. So really, when it comes to branding, it's a very kind of holistic approach. It isn't just how you look on the video. It's how you sound. It's the words you use. All these things. So if you got
all of it.
Yeah. So if you got to give three things that somebody can do to really improve it all, what would it be?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Financial Survival Network is brought to you today by Orin Resources, a junior exploration company with the appetite of a major. It's hot on the trail of the next globally significant discovery, creating enormous potential upside for you, the shareholder. Orin is one of the most aggressive exploration companies pursuing high-grade, scalable gold and copper deposits, and has a premier 7-project portfolio, including its 2 flagships, Committee Bay and the Arctic and Sombrero in Peru. Oren's unparalleled technical team and highly experienced management has a history of success in advancing and monetizing exploration assets. No wonder Oren's been called one of the best in the junior exploration sector. Oren trades on the TSX and the NYSE under AUG. To learn more, go to orenresources.com. That's AURYN resources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Well, one is, and this is for $50, everybody can go on Amazon and buy what's called an O-ring light, which is something photographers use to give more fill to the light. It's tiny, it's small, it's easy, it's inexpensive. You stick it in front of the camera and it will give you this beautiful blast of light that really makes a huge difference. So one is get an O-ring light. The second thing is really pay attention to your background. Look at, do video ahead of time on your laptop or whatever you're using and see, what does my background look like? Does it look like a disheveled mess that makes me look like, I don't know what I'm doing? Or is it a nice bookshelf or a nice scene for something? There's a green screen, there's virtual. There's even sometimes I just use my own apartment, but it looks really good in the background. It's clean, it's nice, there's nice art, et cetera. One of the things I've seen that people are doing really well right now on TV, some of the experts, is they're showing their bookshelf and they're turning certain books out. They have nice objects. They're creating right now I'm saying your background in video is the new body language, right? They're actually showing something about themselves. So that's something that I think is really important for people to do. And then the third thing is pay really close attention to the color you're wearing, because color does translate psychologically to different feelings and meanings.
Mm-hmm. So colors. So what kind of colors should you wear?
Well, if you want to grab all the attention, if you're on a video conference or if you're on TV and you're trying to grab the attention, anytime you wear shades of red, bright reds, that's everything from hot pinks to bright reds, right? That really grabs attention. Mm-hmm. The blues, especially the navy blues, tend to be the colors that communicate the most credibility. Think about it. That's why a lot of logos, corporate logos, have deep blue in them.
Uniforms, right?
Uniforms. Absolutely. Their authority and credibility. And then this is interesting. Anytime you wear something that's in your skin tone, and obviously a skin tone could be anything from a light peach to a dark tan, but anytime you wear something that relatively is close to your skin tone, you always come off as the most friendly and warm and inviting. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Well, symbols have meanings, of course, right?
Absolutely.
Color, of course, has meaning. And, right, so shouldn't be that surprised by it, because there's a reason all this stuff exists, right?
Well, there is. And, I always tell people when it comes to video, dress for purpose, not for how you feel. If you've got an important client meeting, then think about what are you trying to create mood-wise in that, and then dress and have a background accordingly. If you've got just a casual Friday meeting with a bunch of your staff and everybody's going to be casual, well, that's a different thing. But people don't really think about this, right? They don't really slice it down to that. They just go, I feel like wearing a blue T-shirt today, without much sort of deliberation.
Yeah. So you've got to be comfortable. And there are power colors, blue suit or a black suit, red tie, white shirt, right? Or light blue, all those things. As far as your digital branding that goes, though, how do you think that's going to change going into the future? Are we going to go back to the norm, or is this our life now?
I think the big sea change that you're going to see, and we're seeing already, is I think we're going to go from virtual being an or to an and. Like in the past, the way it was virtual was sort of the stepchild of live. So you'd be, if we have to do this virtual meeting, we will. If we have to do this virtual conference, we will. And I think what this has shown us is that virtual is really going to become an inclusive and. So you'll have live conferences and you'll have trade shows, but you will also have a portion of that, a complementary piece of that that's going to be virtual. I don't really think we're going to go back. I mean, I have CEOs that are saying to me, we're probably not going to go back to having a full-time corporate office because it's working really well. We're going to still meet, but we probably don't all need to be in the same office every day with everybody commuting in, for an hour or two.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see some real sea changes. I really do. I think we are seeing those sea changes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really want to get into the riding with you and all that because that's, we're not dealing with politics, and rightfully so. But that is also going to have a profound effect on the desirability of cities, people moving out of cities, and then all the things that we look at for cities, convenience, all these things just aren't that important anymore when you can basically just work from home. It's never been easier. It's never been more effective. So all these things, but just because you're at home doesn't mean that you have to look like you're at home. It's you kind of develop bad habits when you don't go to the office, right?
Well, you potentially can. And here, I love what you said about just because you're at home doesn't mean you should dress like these people that tell me, oh, I just go to work in my pajamas if I don't have to be on the video to do calls. And I said, there's a problem with that. And the problem with that is this research we know called enclosed cognition, which is where they've actually done very serious studies that what people wear can absolutely affect their performance, their cognitive abilities, because what you wear doesn't just impact the person looking at you. It actually impacts us psychologically. So sitting around in your pajamas all day long while you're working is not a good idea for your productivity.
Yeah, definitely not. And, you see people wearing shorts and such and all these things. It's kind of funny when you look at it, but really, I don't know. I kind of come from a time when people really took more care of their appearance, and they really dressed for success. Whatever happened to dress for success? That doesn't seem to be the case anymore, does it?
No, I think it is, but I think what's happened is with the move towards casual so much, everything. I love something that I heard Ruth Bader Ginsburg say once on a TV show, and she said, the symbol of America is not an American eagle, it's a pendulum. And I really think that's true. I think we had this pendulum that swung way towards casual because of all the high tech companies, because of the millennials. And I think what you're going to see is there is going to be some swinging back to people realizing, no, there is a value in dressing up and looking nice and looking appropriate. I mean, I do think you're going to see a little bit more of that, but it does sort of swing one way or the other. And I do think that there will be more people will get and are getting. They can't just show up on a video call in a T-shirt with a client that they're asking $1 million from. It's not going to work in most cases.
Yeah. So when you go to a trade show and you're seeing clients, that type of thing, how do you want to project your image there? Do you need to be in a suit and tie, even though most of the people at these booths no longer are, or many of them aren't?
I don't think you need to be in a suit and a tie, but I always say dress one level slightly up from your audience you're trying to communicate with, right? Yeah. So it's like if you're just a little bit above that, then you're doing a good job of establishing your credibility. You don't want to be so above it that you don't seem like you're relating, but I don't think it's ever a bad idea to be just slightly above. It's that old expression. Remember, we have that expression, he looks put together, she looks put together. I think it's really about looking put together. And I see a lot on video and a lot, like I said, even on TV with experts, where people just don't look put together. And when you're put together, there is a subtle but psychological thing that happens with the viewer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens upstairs. You're not even necessarily aware of. I think the next time I go to a trade show and I'm going to see clients, I will be wearing a suit and tie or a jacket and tie, even though I've made a pledge never to do it again. But a couple of exceptions, not such a bad thing. So, Karen, people want to find out more about what you're doing, maybe work with you, connect with you on the web. Where do they find you?
They can find me at KarenLeland.com. That's Karen, Leland, Leland.com. My podcast is on there. My blogs are on there. All the information about my company. And they can also go to Amazon and get my book, The Brand Mapping Strategy, Design, Build, and Accelerate Your Brand. Those are the two best places.
Excellent. And there's a link to it in the show notes of this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. And really appreciate your having you on, Karen. Questions or comments? Email KL@KerryLutz.com, KL@KerryLutz.com, Twitter feed at Kerry Lutz, Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Of course, our website, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Karen, appreciate you coming on and good luck.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.